saving for 5 years, every spare dollar, every sacrifice, every dream pinned to one house. And just when you're ready to buy, the rug gets yanked out from under you. The price shoots up by 80 grand, and your entire future is about to collapse. That's exactly what happened to my best friend. But instead of letting greed win, we made sure the new owners couldn't sell that house to anyone else. If you've ever felt the sting of betrayal or dreamed of the perfect revenge, then you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button, tap like, and share this story with someone who deserves a good laugh at karma. Because what you're about to hear isn't just revenge, it's poetic justice. Let me take you back about 15 years. My best friend and her husband were raising 5 kids, 5. In one of the most expensive cities in the country, they lived in a beat-up old 4-bedroom rental. The drains reeked, the kitchen was a nightmare, and honestly, the place should have been condemned. But at $400 a week, it was the only roof they could afford over their children's heads. Now, here's the thing: the house belonged to this sweet elderly lady, a woman with more money than she could ever spend, but also a heart the size of a mountain. She adored my friend's family. She'd freeze their rent for years, telling them, "When you're ready, I'll sell it to you. No rush. Save your money." For 5 long years, my friend scrimped and saved. No vacations, no luxuries. Birthdays were cake from a box and handmade gifts. Every cent went into the dream owning that house. Finally, the day came. They had the down payment. They went to the old lady and told her the good news. She smiled, said yes, and 2 days later, she passed away. My heart sank when I heard, not just because of her death. She was wonderful, but because nothing had been put in writing. And soon, the vulture circled. Her 4 adult children, each one already richer than Croesus, each one with sprawling property portfolios. They didn't need this house. But greed. Greed makes people ugly. At first, they reassured my friends, "Don't worry, we'll honor Mum's word. Once probate clears, the sale will go through." Relieved, my friends started prepping. They stripped wallpaper, slapped on paint, made plans for renovations. They believed the nightmare was over. But when probate finally wrapped, the truth came out. The kids had jacked the asking price up by 80,000. Without saying a word, my friend's loan application was denied because the numbers no longer worked. And worse, the house was going to open market in a week. Let me paint this clearly: if that house sold to someone else, my friends were doomed. Rents had exploded. 4-bedroom homes cost nearly double now. With 5 children, they'd be homeless in weeks. I watched them fall apart. Desperation, fear, and inside me something snapped. You know that feeling where your blood feels hot, your jaw clenches, and every muscle in your body screams, "This is not Faye IR." That was me. These millionaire brats were about to ruin a family's entire life for a measly 20 grand each. I wasn't going to let it happen. So while my friends scrambled to secure more financing, I started plotting. I dove into research. What helps a house sell fast? Bright, open spaces, fresh smells, a welcoming neighborhood, perfect first impressions. Well, I decided to flip that script. If they wanted buyers, we'd make sure no one in their right mind would want that. We dragged every piece of furniture away from the walls, stacked extras into corners, and plastered motorcycle posters and memorabilia all over. Instead of looking roomy, the place shrank, claustrophobic, cramped. This was my favorite. My friend boiled cabbage on the stove until the stench coated the air. We splashed ammonia around the doors, so it smelled like every cat in the city had marked its territory. And the cherry on top, we cracked 24 rotten eggs straight down the drains. The house reeked like raw sewage. This was my favorite. My friend boiled cabbage on the stove until the stench coated the air. We splashed ammonia around the doors, so it smelled like every cat in the city had marked its territory. And the cherry on top, we cracked 24 rotten eggs straight down the drains. The house reeked like raw sewage. We borrowed a ratty old couch and dumped it in the front yard across the street. With the neighbor's permission, of course. Nothing screams dodgy area like abandoned furniture rotting in the sun. We called in reinforcements. Friends with loud, sputtering cars circled the block all day, engines growling. It looked like rush hour in the middle of suburbia. We invited the rugby-club. Now, rugby isn't for the faint-hearted. And these guys, they were massive. Leather jackets, motorcycles, the works. We set up a barbecue next door, handed out cheap beer, and told them to enjoy themselves. From the buyer's perspective, the house was smack in the middle of Party Central. The day came. Prospective buyers trickled in, and trickled right back out. Some didn't even make it inside. One woman sat in her car, stared at the scene of burly bikers and loud engines, and drove off without opening her door. The few who braved the inside gagged on the smell. One man tried to make polite conversation outside, only to be, helpfully, told by one of our BBQ guests that noisy after parties happened every couple of weeks. Oh, and by the way, the drains. Always blocked by tree roots, always stinking. His face said it all. He left without making an offer. By the end of the day, only one offer existed. My friends. They still had to pay more than they'd hoped, but nowhere near the outrageous 80,000 hike. They signed the papers and locked it in that very same day. And here's the kicker later, one brave buyer tried swooping in with an offer 30,000 higher than my friends. But too late. Thanks to strict anti-gazumping laws, once my friend's contract was signed, that house was off the table. I would have paid good money to see the look on those greedy Heirs faces. Think about it. They had wealth, status, security, and they still tried to squeeze a struggling family for a few extra crumbs. In the end, their greed backfired. They lost tens of thousands and the satisfaction of an easy sale, all because we made sure no one wanted their precious property. My friends got their home. Their children grew up with stability. And every time I visit, I look at those walls and smile, remembering the cabbage, the eggs, and the beautiful chaos of that open house. Here's what I learned: greed is never satisfied. But fairness has a way of clawing its way back. Sometimes justice isn't handed to you. Sometimes you have to cook cabbage, spray ammonia, and gather your rugby mates to make it happen. So now I want to hear from you. What's the most satisfying revenge you've ever seen? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. And hey, if this story gave you even half a smile, smash that like button, subscribe for more real life stories of justice served cold, and share this video with someone who loves a good revenge tale. Because sometimes karma needs a little help.